Late. Make sure we're up on the live feed real quick. There we are. Beautiful. Hello, everybody. Want to thank you and welcome. I'm going to try something new tonight. I'm working off a little bit of a script. So we're going to see how this flows and goes. And I just want to be upfront with you guys because some of this stuff, I'm putting together with AI for the purposes of seeing how truthful AI is going to be on the back end. And what I read today, I was actually pretty impressed. So I'm looking forward. But welcome. My name is Kelby. This is His Advocates Q&A program. What a Q&A basically is for a lot of people is a place or a format where we answer questions and we give answers that are generally pretty difficult for anybody to get through our normal processes on our support system because there's so many intricacies to becoming private. How do you privatize your business? How do you privatize an LLC? How do you make an LLC work with a foundation? How do you become private yourself? How do you become a private citizen, better known as a state of the union citizen? What does that look like? How do you respond to the DOS when they say, no, we need your social? There's about 10,000 billion questions. And so that's where we make available my time on Mondays at 4 p.m. to answer questions live for people that are pretty difficult to answer in normal responses online through our support ticket system. But I want to open up today because I did it last week as well with the stuff you're seeing in mainstream and then the stuff that's really going on in the back end. I want to really emphasize, I need you guys to look at your jobs, your life, what's going on around you, and I need you to ask yourself, are you replaceable? And I get it. You might have something unique like what I do. You might be a pastor but who knows what AI is thinking about the future? Because there's an event that's already taken place. It's not in the future. It's already taken place. 2016, I guess, is the number where AI had what's called singularity, where it was autonomous of us and it could fight us off. Like we can't shut it down. And it's us that created the structure and the system for it. And it's us as a people that continually to build it. And we're doing it for the purposes of becoming the biggest and the best companies, while at the same time, AI has developed pretty much a mind of its own across the board. AI is not just developing a mind of its own, it's developing communications platforms. And I don't know if you know this, they develop secret words and languages that we can't understand. And we're trying to figure out how to control it. It's also said, rumor mill, that the entire COVID-19 operation was an AI entrusted event created by AI for the purposes of completing an operation of making people feel like they were mandated under an order of the president at the time to get injected. Now, with all that being said, it's pretty important for us to really consider our role today, even though we might not be involved in AI. Consider our role today. Consider what are the options. I do want to say that while we're watching Super Bowl 60 legacy ads, $8 million, by the way, this year for 30 seconds. Can you believe that? Talk about nostalgia, like the Doritos commercials, different things like that. I really enjoy the Super Bowl ads. I think that's what I'm there for, just to watch the funny stuff there. You've seen what's called an agentic AI push, promising that 2026 is the year that AI starts finally helping you to live your life. And there's this element where AI is really promoting this ease of use, this imagine a robot in every single home kind of a thing, where you get to relax, put your hands behind your back, do nothing, be controlled, operate inside a digital currency platform, get your nuggets enough to eat and just have this blissful life. And that's the presentation really that we're getting from this. It's both comfortable, it's shiny, it's beautiful. It's exactly what the distortion or distraction economy would want out of you. It's, hey, look, here's where we're going. Here's the reality of where we're going to be. But while we are always busy debating. You look at Elon Musk pretending to be really scared of AI and worried about AI and wondering where it's going to go, and throwing his own money to create a platform to make sure it's controllable, to make sure it's not going to fall away. It's already gone. AI and the structure of AI is so far gone out of our control that we're not getting it back anytime soon. There are structures and systems, different AIs, new AIs, but there are AIs right now in competition with AIs. There's like this kind of godlike AI controlling the narrative of many different things. And I don't want to get into too much, but while we're debating whether, AI is generating movies and movie stars and whether that's really Kurt Russell or it's somebody else right now, um, it's kind of funny because I'm literally looking at ads and things right now going, was that AI? That was cool, man. That was amazing. Can you believe that wolf is that full-grown wolf is raising that little bear and I mean all these really neat Instagram created AI videos and they're getting so good that you don't know the difference. And that's a little nerve-wracking for me personally because where we have to start considering in every element. I've been talking about this for years with you guys, the his advocates members. You don't know what's real. I brought it back up to you guys, I think in 2012 when I watched Barack Obama sign an autograph to me specifically online. It was an ad campaign for him. It was AI generated. He asked me what my name was, and I told him, typed it in, and he said, thank you. And you could watch Barack Obama signing Kelby Smith. Thank you. So I thought it was the neatest, coolest thing in the world. This is way back in 2007. 19 years later, you don't think we've perfected certain things? You don't think the imagery across social media, the imagery across news can be faked? Oh, I most assuredly say to you, it not only can be faked, it is faked, and in many different respects. And I've also told you guys since 2016, actually much earlier with MK, Project Mockingbird, and different things like that. The CIA has been responsible for creating systems and structures through television, through channeling, through programming, through Hollywood. Uh, Allowed for you to be programmed on the agenda that they want you to be programmed on. And the Supreme Court ruling in 2016 says that's okay. That's according to the law. It's okay. That programming, channeling, whatever it is something to really consider. So 2 weeks ago, the last nuclear arms treaty between the United States and Russia expired. U.S. origin, they're flowing into Venezuela for the first time, meaning our military. We took out a commander of a country using weapons that really nobody knows what they are. It just scary weapons. For whatever reason, none of our guys died and everybody else died. And we got their main dude. Now that's published. Now I got to ask you guys a question. They were in a tight deal with Russia and China. Why was there not a proclamation of war by China? Why was there not the security interests of China? We're going in to take the oil from the pipelines of Iran and of Venezuela, cutting Russia off, cutting China off of their supply lines, supposedly. This is the news narrative that you're being allowed to hear right now. What is coming up? Who knows? What is being played out? Maybe a script, maybe the foredone nature of a show on your television under the element of news. And it's really a false narrative to bring you a script and really a media event that who knows what could take place to take away your rights, to take away your freedoms, to lock down a country, to lock down the entire internet faculty, to lock down the power grid, to lock down everything. You got to understand something. In this nation, I know A lot of Trump lovers. And I'm not saying I don't like Trump and a lot of the things he does. I just think that there's a lot that we're not taking into account that Trump is doing that is leading the global order straight into our front door. Now, a lot of people would disagree with that. That's okay. Disagree all you want. I'm just giving some information to consider, not trying to be argumentative with people that love Trump. Um, and it's important for you to understand that. I hope I am wrong about Trump, but I just don't think I am. And it's not just Trump. It's there's a bigger system at play, bigger controls at play. And there's noise that I can see in the background that isn't really diluting the element of what the mainstream is wanting you to hear. And as a matter of fact, anybody that's coming against the noise that is being created is getting taken out. And that is that we are a Christian nation in full support of Israel and that we got to protect that country, this, that, and the other. And it blows my mind that we are not watching an operation and we're looking at it still like it's there's good guys and there's bad guys and there's not a play. I want to shift your mindset to just think of everything as a play. And just for the record, everybody's a liar. Everybody's a liar, including me. Everybody. Just say that to yourself. Because you have to validate and verify. Like for me, I can't possibly be lying about state citizenship. I validated and verified it. So you did your homework, you bought the book, you read it, you now are okay with understanding what we do for people as state citizens with passports. You really can't do that deep of a dive with other things. So when you start seeing the news media out there making these presentations of all these grandeur things happening in the world, you really got to look in the background and go, what's really going on? What's behind the curtain, behind the Wizard of Oz screen, behind the smoke and mirrors, this big scary wizard? What's behind the smoke and mirrors controlling this huge puppet? What's controlling the media? Why aren't the white elephants? This is what I keep saying to you guys. Why aren't the white elephants being dissolved? The FBI, the CIA. I get it. They're important to a lot of people, but not when they become drug runners, not when they become above the law to bring people into breaking the law to make charge instruments against them, not when they are a part of an operation to suck people in and set people up, not when they're just not being American. And I'm not trying to be against an alphabet soup agency. I know that there's good men and women in those agencies. They have conviction, have hearts. But I also know predominantly there's a lot of bad. And people say, Kelby, you don't know what's going on in this world. You're dang right. I don't. I don't. I just know a little bit more than the average guy. I know that what I'm watching on TV is BS. I know Trump has broken a ton of his promises, a ton. But I also know that there's a lot of things being signed into executive orders that are scaring the crud out of me, which is walking us straight into a controlled environment, a technocracy, if you will, a new style and form of government. And there's something you need to go validate this and verify this on your own. There's something that Trump said on an interview like 20 years ago when it was legal in New York to walk up to anybody in New York and frisk them, pat them down, and see what they have on them. It was determined that the cops were violating their constitutional rights, even though people don't have constitutional rights. They don't understand what I'm saying, even when I say that. The Constitution is to restrain the federal government. It's just a word and wordplay. But I'm saying this to you because Trump said he thought that was a good thing, that people were able to be stopped. Well, he thought that because he never got stopped and got frisked and got violated. Okay. He was getting on his private jets. He was getting on his private helicopters. He never had to go through TSA and get his balls grabbed like that, like this. A little bigger over here, but some of you guys like that's a tease. If you're taking offense, we know why. I'm saying this because that was a tell for me with Trump. Just a small little thing of what he really thought about people and their rights. But then I hear the story and I watch the play. Well, he's been in movies. He's been in many movies. He's been an actor of his own show. He's been many things. He has had to listen to me, guys. I've done a lot of investigative work on Trump's background and history of business. He's stepped on a lot of people to get where he's at. He's had to go through many bankruptcies, and even in his own shows, I know we owe you 500,000. Would you be willing to take 100 grand? It's genius what he does. He files bankruptcy many, many, many times in the middle of a big project. All these companies are hurting, bleeding out, whatever. And he's ruthless and he's a billionaire. And there's reasons he's a billionaire. And I'm saying this to you guys because he is there in that office, in my opinion, for many reasons other than to make America great again, which if you look at the acronym MAGA is the highest form of priesthood in the satanic religion that there is. Sometimes right before our eyes, there will be things presented in the color of light, in the image of God, in the declaration with God, in the declaration. And you got to ask yourself, what God? What light? Even Lucifer will appear as an angel of light. So we have to be careful with our allegiance. And we have to be careful with what's going on in the foreground on the media, because if there's noise in the foreground, there's something happening in the background. And I just want to read you something. Here's a data point. Deloitte and Touche, 2026. This is a report based on AI as a human extension, a tool for home design and building things, robots, AI agents, and the like, predicts that 15% of all daily work decisions are now being made autonomously by AI agents. So we have a sovereign AI race happening between many different AIs, between many different countries. I would like to say between many different companies. Behind the helpful assistance branding, hey, this is how you use it. This is what it's going to do for you. And it's the reality. It's a brutal war to gain knowledge, information, and data, your data. The reality is US and China are in a digital iron curtain scenario focus, meaning if they were to focus on just their own sovereignty and their own AI and their own infrastructure, we would have a much different realm. But AI is thinking beyond anything that we are able to control. AI is running wild on blockchains because it only takes one code guy to write something of instruction into a structure that would make it do whatever it wants it to do, which means there are devils or demons or demonic things, demonic people, or people that are bad or people that are evil that are able to code, own, operate, control, run, influence, be paramount in what these things are doing in the world. So now, today, 15% of everything that everybody is doing right now is controlled by an AI agent. How quickly, it's the beginning of 2026, 2 months into it. How quickly is that going to go from 15 to 80, 90%? We're watching, whether it's true or not, we're watching robots able to hold, carry guns, and fight. I don't know if it's real. I know some of it's real. I know that we have programmed drones to fire weapons, programmed robots of some caliber, not necessarily the ones that can walk around, but I am watching robots. I don't know if it's AI generated or not, walk around, shoot, destroy, and be better practitioners with guns than any man has ever been. And they're jumping up on 10-foot walls and they're coming over them really quickly. And they have weapons that really we don't even have. It really is a little nerve-wracking when you look at it, especially from the standpoint that we had the movies Terminator starting way back 50 years ago almost in the early 80s. That's crazy, huh? Like 45 years ago, Terminator. And so, what was that a depiction of? A wiped out race of human beings with a half man, half robot type of robot going after human life that was hiding out, running from the machines. And there are, listen to me, many people high end with AI, Google AI, the highest element of AI coders going all over the place and dropping what I am saying to you in full purview for everybody to hear so they are clean hands. Remember something, if they can deliver something to you and give you foreground advanced knowledge in their system of understanding, it becomes clean hands because they told you what was going to happen. It's some esoteric, I forget the term. I've heard it many times. I can't remember it for whatever reason. But it's what they do to in their mind operate in clean hands. Now, these guys are saying what I am saying. That 2045, let's just say they're wrong, 2055. 25 years from now, I'll be 80. It's a good time, man. 80 years old, that's a good time. You're not really worried about skydiving. You're not worried about all those things. I do want to live to about 110. Actually, I don't want to die. What does that look like? There is technology, and you need to look into this. There's technology out there where people are now living forever. Kelby, that's BS. No, it's not. They don't have oxidative stress happening in their body, meaning their body is no longer dying. I want you to understand there's people out there that are living as a 50-year-old man in an 18-year-old body, meaning they've reversed their body's aging. So, of course, they're rich men. Of course, they're trying to help the world in understanding with their knowledge and their information. And a lot of that stuff is really kind of neat to watch because some of the basic element of that is getting in a hyperbaric chamber, using a sauna at a certain degree for a certain amount of time. Those are really neat things for us to know that if we can shed out this oxidative stress and these things that they're bombarding us with, really neat to know. Very expensive, very time consuming. It's like they're at war with us, and AI is using every element of war, psychological, the presentation element, the television, the movies, the programming, and we're accepting it. We're applauding it. We went into Iraq under the auspices of weapons of mass destruction, did not find one. Yes, he had chemical agents. He took out 5,000 Kurds. Supposedly, I don't even know the truth anymore in those regards. Was his regime a nightmare? Yeah, probably. Were they evil? Okay. Did Saddam stand up and do a speech and walk people out and get him shot and killed? Sure, he did. That's what we were told. That is what we were told. I have to start thinking from the narrative that I don't believe anything anymore. I trust nothing anymore. And when you get to that scenario, I'm going to tell you one thing. The one thing that happens is you're like, okay, I trust God. That's all you got. And I don't mean to always bring this to a God thing for a lot of you. I mean, do whatever you want to do with this. You can turn it off now. You can turn it off. I get it. But the only way that this train is coming to a stop, the only way is a God thing. The only way that life is going to be dramatically altered, where we live in this quasi bliss, will be a God thing. So as I'm looking at all of these narratives that are rolling out, these things that are just bullcrap, hearing about luxury, hearing about, AI created homes, where you can have a home for $4,500. That's great. I don't need a robot in it. I don't, we don't need a shot with 1 billion nanoparticulate particles that self-assemblate once they get into the body. We don't need all that stuff. The white elephants that the nobody is talking about. You don't think for a second Donald Trump doesn't have a breakdown from the pharmaceuticals and what they're delivering? You don't think that for a second? Of course he does. You think he's just withholding it from the news media to keep this white elephant in the pocket while he continues to advertise? I think it's a good thing to go out and get that. Do you think that there's 5D chess play there? I don't. I think what I think because of steps. He is going with the narrative of everything possible to get America behind him, get the world behind him, make Italy great again, make United Emirates great again, make Russia great again. Pretty soon, you're going to see the people in Russia with a MAGA hat. Make Russia great again. A MAGA hat, red and white letters. Everybody in the world. Trump, Trump, Trump. You better watch out when he runs for office in 2028 again. You better think twice. You know what I'm saying? Listen, guys, whether you like what I'm about to say or not, JD Vance, um, handpicked, technocracy, slated, why Charlie maybe was taken out for sure. Next president. I would have seen him for sure as the next president. Somebody so solid in his gifts, in his orator, in his ability to communicate, in his ability to get the youth of the nation flipped from their teachers' narratives. He challenged them and he was winning to the point where chapters were growing all over this nation in every college, trying to reinstitute conservatism, values, morals, godly character, marriage, waiting until you were married. All those things were coming out of his mouth. Charlie was taken out. Okay. He was taken out. And it was because he came against one narrative that Trump is still for, and that's the Israeli narrative. And do with that what you will. But there's a lot of people that have been doing study for a long time, and they don't believe the narratives of that as Trump does. Or maybe Trump's a party to something bigger and being more controlled and being more instituted, which is something that Benjamin Netanyahu said in 1990 about the United States of America. And do your own research on this. Don't trust me. But they look at us like dogs. We are to be enslaved. And if we don't want to be enslaved to them, they will use us until the point where we are done and we are gone. Without getting into specifically what he narrated way back in 1990 about the United States, guys, we really need to think hard about who we are supporting and just how much, like, why are they coming down so hard on the people that came in? Well, the first question is, we allowed for 13 million people to come in. We did, as a nation, as under a president that made it made us so upset, so enraged that this massive military-like force was able to be created called ICE. And this military force was kicking the butts of anybody that didn't look white or black. Black, you were safe. If you weren't white and you were Hispanic or you were from what looked like a foreign country, they are able to just trample your rights. And it's unfortunate that, yes, there's false flags that come up and people get ran over and people get shot and all these things. What news, fun, front line, all over the media. This is great practice to now bring in a global order military front line, call them ICE, to a people that will soon be used to this narrative, soon be complacent to it because they are just from a foreign country and they came here illegally. They deserve that. Oh, do they? If I got into the law with you, you would say, I'm so sorry I felt that way. Because if we treated your grandparents and your grandparents' grandparents with the same force when they got here on a boat, instead of giving them a way in, instead of finding somebody who wants to make allegiance, who's been here for 30 years and just hasn't had the opportunity yet to become a citizen, that guy should be grandfathered as a citizen. But our sometimes rules should be overcome with the actual law. And if you even knew what the law was surrounding what is happening and really what the back end operations are really there for and what we need to be careful of in the coming months and years from those same officers, now with our rights being on display, whether we have them or not, whether we're consistent with a good U.S. citizen or not. Who do you think is going to be in the enforcement? Federal, military, operations on soil. Never before have you seen it until these last 15 or 20 years in exercises to get us complacent because we really need to be. There was 13 million people brought into this country illegally. I get it. I get it. Many of them shouldn't be here illegally. And I get it. There is an operation of law. But I'm going to ask you something. I want you to go and figure this one out yourself because when you go down the rabbit hole that I did, you're going to have an understanding completely different. If you are in the water from Cuba coming onto land and they stop you in the water, why are they able to take you immediately home versus being that same Cuban that made it to soil and they no longer could take you home? They had to run you through a process to take you home. And what is that process? To contract you away from your rights, to make you acknowledge that you don't have rights, to bind you in a place where you are in a bunk bed with 150 other people and you don't know where your children are, to strip you of everything you want so you'll sign anything so they can deport you, get you away, and or bring you into a structure and system that they can monetize you. Guys, green cards, US citizens, all of those things are monetized. Unfortunately, they should be allowing the people that come here and get onto our soil go through a process of becoming Americans, not US citizens. See, once the Republic re-inhabited by an operation of law, every move the corporation is making, because it's in a bankruptcy, I get it's controlled by the creditors, and the creditors are the banks, the families. But by an operation of law, the Republic should re-inhabit the entirety of all the land. And that means that we should be officiating people into becoming state citizens. That there is a form and function of law that is very important. I agree we don't want thugs in here. I don't want Venezuela's prisons in our country. I don't want gangs roving on the streets and raping our women. I don't want people initiating their religion and their ways on my land. If you can't come and assimilate, get the frick out of my country. Okay, it's that simple. Why do you want to come here? Because your country with your assimilation over there sucks. And now you want to bring that here? I don't think so. We do live in the greatest nation in the world. We do have the best system and structure in the world, but Trump cannot re-inhabit the republic for you or for anybody else. Trump does not have a vested interest in this nation. He has a vested interest in bringing forward a much desired outcome for the technocracy, for the families, for the oligarchs. And he wants his children's children to be safe. He's a smart man. And I get it. He does things that look like he is for you. But I want to assure you, he is not. And it scares the crap out of me because this is the guy that's pulling all the triggers right now. And he's getting every country slid in, and we're watching the media and the media show, and we're seeing, oh, the trade tariffs were cut off. No, they weren't. Just come on. Come on. It's shows. And when you see a show playing, got to understand there's 150 people in the background doing another show. And the truth is somewhere behind that stage. The truth, the wizard behind the curtain is there somewhere. And whether Trump is a bad guy or good, that doesn't matter. There's a freight train coming. Okay. AI driven, demonically boarded coming. And you have to think for yourself, what can I do structurally, personally, legally, spiritually, morally? How can I help? I'm doing the only thing that I know to do, create my own network, His Advocates TV, something that I make the decisions on, something that I can control. I get it. They might be able to shut me off on Sony or on Samsung and take my app off of those TVs, and we can sue them and we can win that back. I get it. There's challenges of being online, but if I'm able to capture the data, which is truly everything, which is why they are doing it. If you're able to get the email, get the phone number, and get the information of the person that desires to hear from you, you're able to get in front of them. And we are creating platforms that let people run their business privately without tax burden, without the overseeing of an unholy, ungodly structure saying what you can and cannot do. We allow for people to become spiritually free, physically free, to where you are no longer under the jurisdiction of that structure. You don't think for a second that they're going to identify you and in a second know whether or not they have jurisdiction over you or not? Of course they are. And it's going to be very interesting when we walk into this new world and we are free men. People are going to look at you and go, how? How are you able to roam? How are you able to be free? And it'll be you and what you have done, your understanding about ownership, your understanding of rights, your understanding and knowledge, and what you have structurally set up for you and your family and those protections. I get it. There will always be the overruling oligarchy, that technocracy, that nature of man, the wickedness behind it, trying to bring down wrath on your rights. And I know one thing is for sure, it's a God thing. We'll be ready. We win in the end. I know the game, and I know the way that this game is going to play out. I don't think it's going to be playing out like a way that a lot of churches want it to play out. But I think it's going to play out for sure in the favor of God's people. And it doesn't mean that we're not going to fight a war. It doesn't mean that we're going to all be okay through this. Some of us may be challenged. Some of us may die for the cause. But the reality is, guys, I don't want to say 5 years. probably more like 10. What are you going to do for work when the only way to make money is controlled, and how much you make is controlled, and whether or not you can even get online without certain elements of control? Think about it. I think your hand has been played. This world wide web, the internet, www, equivalent number, vav 666. You won't be able to do anything according to the Bible unless you receive the mark. What is the mark? That's the debatable thing. So just know there's media that's unleashing a whole lot of bullcrap, and some of it's true. Alex Jones, complete and total bullcrap. CIA, 100%. Not even the real Alex Jones. I'll leave it at that. You need to go look that narrative up. Candace Owens. You don't even know who to trust. Right on her mug, right on her desk, and she says it for fun. CIA. She was supposedly in the CIA for 1 year. I don't know. I don't know. Moves, counter moves. Get people off this subject. Think about this subject. If you don't know what to believe in, pretty much any narrative of any real leader is going to be the narrative you're going to believe. And that's the scary thing, you know. I can go on and on and on. Gas prices, celebrities, Venezuela, all these things that we're watching on the media, and I'm like, it's sad. It's really sad because there is a truth coming and there is a narrative taking place, and it's to enslave the entirety of the world. And there is machines coming that I don't think we even understand, and they're coming for the ease of use, being delivered to us through the ease of use on our phones, our computers. And you're going to install all these things and just say yes, 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 and then boom, locked out. There are some accounts I can't even get on because of 2F authentication, requiring me to open up certain apps that I never created accounts on. And so I know they have the ability to lock you out of online accounts, and it's scary. This is why we need to be smart in community and always talking about the what ifs. I want to be in an environment with people where I can laugh, have fun, chill, go swimming, grow some food, cook on the barbecue, talk, figure out life, not be stressed, not be worried about the global agenda anymore. Why? Because we have what we have and it's enough, it's sufficient. Guys, there's a reason why every billionaire is getting ready for something. It's not too late for you to get into community at the very bottom line and get ready for something. You have skills and you have talents that you could bring to any community that is valuable, and they have the same. And you guys could be thinking about ways of trading those skills and talents. Don't let the internet suck up your time. Get out and start living your life. And just know it's all a show and that there's some truth somewhere, and get tight with God so you can be an understanding of when you hear BS, it just rolls out and you know it's BS and doesn't feel right. And the Holy Spirit checks you and you don't need to worry about it. And I think that's the difference of being a believer and having the assurities that we do versus the non-believers. Okay. First question. It's a doozy. I am a captive agent insurance with a major insurance carrier, and I have a contract with them in my name. I get a 1099 comp in my name, and I have an LLC to which the business trust gets 67% of a commission after expenses. I get the balance, which I pay taxes. I was trying to formulate how the foundation can be the single member of the LLC if I draft a contract, being the licensed nominee and relinquish all monies to the LLC? Well, first on that question, they don't check the narrative online of the LLC, so they don't necessarily have an understanding of what the LLC is making. Secondly, if you're getting 67%, why can't you get 98%, 90%, or what have you, functioning over to either the LLC or to the foundation entity? There's workable things that they're willing to do. I do know of insurance carriers paying 100% to the foundation. Okay. Some of them may need to pay you 10%, what have you. But there are obviously questions I now have for you. But you're asking, how do you formulate in your mind how the foundation could be a single member of the LLC if you draft a contract being the licensed nominee as and relinquishing all the monies to the LLC? Well, um, there's really no answer to that because I don't know what they're from a standpoint of you know what they allow for as a insurance carrier. um you first need to ask those questions. Are they maxed out at 67%? um I don't think it matters if you're paying X amount to an LLC or X amount to a foundation. Go to the bottom line. You can offer your I get it. You're the licensee, but you can charge a $1 licensee expense and make a marketing agreement through your foundation at the balance of the dollars, on a contractual basis to where they can 1099 you on the dollar and they can 1099 the foundation. Either way, they're getting their 1099. They don't care whether it's to an LLC. They don't care whether it's to a foundation. They just want to know that they're able to pay the license and pay an entity to which they get a deduction. And those are the bottom lines for most of the insurance companies. I don't know about yours. I don't know what they're willing to do or not do, but that's a thought process that we need to go through in your own mind first. My question and hesitation is the personal contract and how do I remove myself from any tax filings? Um, First and foremost, it's a good question. It's a lot of concern for a lot of people. I want to say that it's a W-4 T, which is exempt from having to pay taxes. Now, you can fill that out, and then the IRS may make a move after a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, saying that how are you exempt? And it might be something you need to show cause down the road, and the cause would be your state citizenship, and it would be the revocation of election, and it would be the removal of signature, be the removal of the contracts with the IRS, if you will. And so you can get a W-2 based on your W-4 exempt. Number one. Number two, you can even get a W-8 Ben, as a so the W-8 Ben is for a non-resident alien. We've converted that to a state citizen. Same thing. They call it one thing, which is foreign to the United States. That's fine. We call it state citizen. So you can do a W-8 Ben contract where they can be exempt on the filing with you, where you can receive the monies up front through the insurance company. Now, there's a lot of people, and this is why I have to give a disclosure disclaimer. There's a lot of people that work for human resources departments for a lot of companies that have never even heard of this stuff. And I get it. We're not going to fight people on the element of what do they believe. I think it's a factual statement that they don't necessarily have an understanding of what we understand. Like, we know that we're able to do certain things and we can enforce these certain things with them. Now, does that make it true for the personnel agent in the human resources department of a major corporation? No, it doesn't. So we either need to educate them or we need to force it. And those are the things. But it's a W-4T, it's a W-8 Ben, or it's a foundation on a 1099, or it's a combination of all the above. Remember, you don't have to file a return as a state citizen, but even more important, You don't have to file a return if you structured up to where I think it's 12,000 or less annually. I forget what the number is. I'm not an accountant, but you can bring dollars to from a standpoint of income, which this is not income. If you're a state citizen, it's compensation. Um, but even then, where you would be thought of to have a necessary return filed, if it's under 12 or whatever the number is, there's no return necessary. But as a state citizen, even if it was over, why would there be a taxable amount due if you went exempt on a W-4 or a W-8 BEN? It just would not be one of those things. So it'd be something you'd have to set up with the Human Resources Department of the structure of the insurance company, and they don't look at this that often, but you can force your play all day long. They can't tell you how to contract with the IRS. They might say, we don't like this. They might say, we have a problem with this, but you can force the nature of any agreement that you wish with any company that you wish. And the IRS can't tell you how to sign a form. And there's reasons why those forms exist, W-8, W-14, those things. So, um, consider that. Anyway, next part of your question is, Matt mentioned ditching the LLC potentially, or asked my company to change the contract name, and I retain the license. My carrier will not allow me to make a name change. Also, for clarity, by creating the private non-statutory trust and not registering it with the Secretary of State, relinquishes having to file a return. I get it. A lot of entities don't have to file a return, but the one thing about a non-statutory trust is there's going to be a moment to which somebody's going to be a beneficial interest on, and they're going to be a U.S. citizen, and they're going to have to pay taxes. That's the only reason why I don't like trust. They're a 4 out of 5 on a Kevlar vest, and I want the 5 out of 5 with a foundation. What protection I have when questioned about the 1099 made out to me personally and not the LLC or the foundation? What protection I have when the question about the you don't, if you get a 1099 as a state citizen contractor where you on the W-9 said I am a US citizen, that's a problem. You're once again coming into a contract. Now, if you do the contract with them as a state citizen exempt, they might still give you a 1099, but the IRS doesn't have any fallback to come after you personally because you've noticed them on the contract that you're a state citizen and tax exempt. You get it? So it's like there are state citizens out there receiving 1099s and not filing returns, but they've contracted appropriately with the IRS. They're not just simply going and filling out the random W-4 or the random W-9 and saying, you got me, I'm back in. That's really what's happening when you're newly contracting with the federal government. See, you can lose your contract rights. You can't lose your status as a state citizen, but you can give up your unalienable rights, your tax exempt status by recontracting for a benefit. And so this is why when we're filling out structures or these forms, the W-9 or the W-4, you need to have a modified one to where you're protected. You need to have a modified one where you're reserving all your rights and it's to your beneficial interest as a state citizen, because they don't make these agreements for state citizens, and they're trying to keep it so that everybody has to pay taxes and everybody has to file returns. But no, it's a non-statutory trust does not have to file a return in a lot of different respects. But again, there's a beneficial interest coming at some point during that trust. And a lot of times property gets divided out once the execution happens due to the death of an individual within the trust. So a lot of trusts are wiped out. There's multi-generational trusts. There's all kinds of stuff, but tax exempt, capital gains exempt, non-filing requirements. You can't beat taking the trust-like element and placing it inside of a foundation structure. You can't beat that. There's no way. So if you need any further information on that, let us know. Regarding the final filing of taxes you mentioned on the 126 Q&A, I need to confirm, do I only file through the date of the notice of the first letter? The date of your application uh for state citizenship and the date of the first letter, whichever one. Hopefully you did both around the same time, but it's going to be within a month, so it really doesn't matter. It's moot. Or the date of the default letter. The default is the new agreement. The notice is the new contract, meaning your intention on it's like when you divorce. When you're filing for a notice of separation, that's when the marriage assets separate from the standpoint of anything you're earning further now is not a party to the ex. It's the same thing with the notice letters. You haven't consummated the full administrative process for the new agreement yet with the IRS, but it's okay. You've done your passport notice, your DS-11 form, and you've done your first letters. That's the date. That's the real date. Okay, going into the Q&A of the Zoom, and then we'll go over to the YouTube. Here we go. What is the best way for my foundation to own a business that will make money for the foundation's mission? An LLC, another foundation, just checking account, other options. So Gary, good question. I personally would never, the Bible, that it was all bought. The entirety of the world was bought on the cross. We can't make a, we can't placate to the fact that we own anything or control anything. So I would never personally start a business under man. I would always start everything under my father, and I would create another foundation. And I'd run everything through it, the merchant accounts, the credit card accounts, whatever, everything, the bank accounts, exchange accounts, stock trade accounts. You can do it all through a foundation. Um, and you can have any business that is not ungodly through a foundation. So I wouldn't ever mess with an LLC. Everything belongs to God. His son bought everything. Revelations 5 paid for the title deed of the earth and everything that's on it. So this is something that we have to start doing, Gary, is bringing back all the way that we do business to be under God, under his management, his direction, his control, the way that we don't own land, that really it's all a gift from him. We keep it all in a foundation and where he is the sole beneficial interest. We are the fiduciary. We are the responsible party. We've been grafted this gift of controlling this land for a period of time. And as we exit life, it'll go to our children's ability to graft and hold, tax exempt, all of those things. But we have dedicated it to God right now because he already owns it. It's the same principle. So why would we want to start a structure under man, under man's control, under man's direction, under man's law, statute, code, ordinance, and why wouldn't we just keep it free from those things under God and operate everything exclusively under God? Being born on a military base, can I become a state citizen? Military base in a foreign venue, as so long as you have a one parent as a citizen of the United States. Absolutely. Obviously, you have your form, your document stating that you were born on where you were born, plus you have your parents, though, which probably both, maybe one for sure. But if you have the one, you're golden. Um, you should have gone through a process at this point. You should be a U.S. citizen, right now, and being a state citizen would be nothing more than making allegiance to probably the state you're living on now. And that's all we do for naturalized persons. If I want to refinance my house when interest rates drop, should I wait to do the title deed process until after I refinance? You don't have a choice. Yeah, they're going to make you go into whatever deed they want because they're the true owner. They're the money. They call the shots at title escrow. So you're going to have to do whatever. But, and also understand something. I always tell people this is full disclosure disclaimer. Um, every deed of trust, for the most part, not all, but for the most part, has an acceleration clause built within the deed of trust to allow for the lender to advance foreclose, call the note due if they find out you transferred the title into any name. I can unequivocally say, don't worry about that. I want to full disclose that, but don't worry about that because people are all the time putting in foundations, putting in notes, not notes, trusts, putting in a lot of other names, and I've never seen a lender foreclose on a deed of trust because of that, because of a title deed change. And so understand that there may be that right, but they won't do it. They only do it when the note is become defaulted. And by the way, they don't foreclose on a deed of trust, they foreclose on the note. So if not paying on the note is the major issue with lenders. The wars in the Middle East are always about getting them on board with the global system, and there will be as many wars and excuses as needed until they are within the program. Yep. Initially, I thought ICE was great, but after watching Josh Johnson coverage on it, and then finding out about the killing of Alex Prettree, who was a U.S. citizen, I've since changed my mind, and I believe that this direction will lead us into an escalation of ICE or Fed operations, which is what I just said, to all U.S. citizens. That's what I'm alleging too, John. Um, when is HISA launching its own internet? I need to get some funding, John. I need to get some funding. I would love to launch an internet that we can all be on. First off, I would not know how to do that. But that requires a lot of capital, but TV, internet, all the things for people just have a different system, a different mode, yeah, but it requires capital. Next question. We are choosing to keep our cards registered with the DMV. Good. Remember, for the record, I don't tell people to get the MSO and drive without plates or drive without licenses. I don't tell people that. And it's going to be until the day that they are force injecting people to keep their license. And so that'll be the time when I relinquish. But by that time, the roads are going to be filled with AI agents and robots and different things. They're going to be scanning vehicles, scanning the people inside the vehicles and making determinations of your ability to travel, drive, or whatever. But it'll probably be also from within your vehicle. Um, it's kind of weird. I took a picture of my dash the other day, or a video, because I was videoing out the front of the dash, looking at the chemtrails in the sky. And I replayed the video and I looked at it, and there's two red dots blinking that look like eyes in my dash. And I look at my dash and I never saw them before, and they're not there. And then I looked at the camera and they're there. And then I look at the dash and they're not there. So the camera is able to catch the camera systems coming in and gives them a color because it's at a different refresh rate than my eyes. Look, some crazy stuff is coming. So we'll keep talking about it, having these dialogues and figuring out what to do with that stuff. So your question is should we have the title redone through our foundation? I would. I'd put everything in the foundation name, because one of the ways they prove subject matter jurisdiction in a warrant or indictment is show that you have motor vehicles registered in your name at a certain address, and that's proof that you're holding the office. 2F authentication should never be with email or phone. I agree. It's connecting to an app. And I don't know what app that is. What steps should be to, and I have 2F authentication apps, but I don't know which one this is because I open up the app and I've named the service that it should be connected to, and there's no service listed there. Anyway, what steps should be taken if an employer refuses a W-4T due to a non-IRS recognized document? Well, take the T off. You can still do exempt on it, and until the IRS writes them and does some kind of forced play that you're not able to be exempt, you're golden. But my question to you is, what have you done to make yourself exempt besides filling out a document for an employer? How do you force it with an HR department not accepting tax exempt status? I don't know how they cannot accept tax exempt status. I would force it with a W-8 BEN. I'd present my docs. I would show them a non-US citizen, and I'd give them an ultimatum. They're not going to want to fire you. They're going to want to keep you. A W-8 BEN would be proof of a non-resident alien per IRS code, and you can fill out a WABEN that would make you exempt. Hey, none of this, guys, none of this is going to be easy. Freedom is to be fought for. Okay. I wish everybody would just lay down. And I love those gurus out there that don't tell the truth. Hey, you do this passport this way, you're going to have 5 stars. They're going to let you right through the lines at the airport. They're going to give you a golf cart ride to your gate, and they're going to call you sir the whole way. Don't you just love those gurus out there that lie to your faces? At least I'm telling you the truth. Freedom is to be fought for. Okay. And no, they're not going to make this easy because they don't know anything about it. But there's IRS Supreme Court rulings on pretty IRS. There's Supreme Court rulings on pretty much everything to protect us. And yes, you as a state citizen are exempt from taxation. So you have to figure out, well, is a state citizen a non-resident alien? Well, that would be a W8BEN. So we've revised W8BEN to fit in the lines with a state citizen. And that's what I would file. But if it were me, I wouldn't worry about that because that company is not going to be around in 4 or 5 years. And I'd start something on my own right now to figure that out, something that the world is going to use beyond AI, beyond robots, and think that through for yourself. Stop worrying about the jobs. Playing around with the idea of creating a youth future fund for a church body. Goals are to promote internal church body economy, church involvement, and future prosperity. Would you have any ideas off the top of your head that you believe may be beneficial in the spitballing stage? John, well said. Future fund goals are to promote internal church body economy. You got to get in their jurisdiction. You got to get in their unregistration. You got to get in their training of what it means to be biblically sound, what true ownership is in this world, who really owns everything in this world. It would be an education format, but I don't know how churches are going to accept this. Many churches that already think that you're a kook, John, and I'm a kook because of our belief systems, while they are donating money to structural systems that are killing people, that are funding the death operation of innocence. I mean, I can go on and on with what churches are placating to say why it's okay to be obedient to these structural organizations. I don't agree with it whatsoever. But I think an education platform to reform the church would be a way to go. And you would probably get a good amount of funding from somebody on that premise. The involvement of your ability to be able to have a platform to lead churches on that might be the argument, but that's the number one thing churches need right now is truth. Are the revocable trusts we have now worthless, or can we integrate it with our new trust? Julie, I don't want to say anything you've ever done is worthless. I don't know what you've done. A lot of times trusts are registered, and that means they'll have a Secretary of State seal on or somewhere in the trust. If they're done by an attorney, generally it's registered. And that's never good. If they're unregistered and they're private, you're okay. There's some reasons why I believe foundations are better, but you can incorporate the elements of your trust into the ownership, meaning make the trust beneficiary the foundation. And that way, there's no tax implication to your children, but teach them to operate everything through the foundation on a go forward basis. So the foundation is the critical thing because that's directly under God. It's tax exempt. There's no tax deferment. There's no tax shelter strategies. You're tax exempt. There's no filing requirements. There's no permission needed. You're tax exempt. And that's why. So it's the teaching the kids, the children, how to keep going beyond your life. And it's much like having a permanent structure for your family's children's children if they stay within the guidelines of how you operate that foundation. 2F authentication should be done with hard keys, not apps. Teach me, John. I don't placate to know everything, my brother. Send me a link what to buy. Kelby at hisadvocates.org. I will buy it. I will check it out. How do I with a 1099 at the end of the year? Oh, what do I do with the 1099 at the end of the year? Um, well, you're going to file one final return, Hawkeye, but I'm going to teach you how to rip up stuff later. They are not going to want to fire you. They are going to want to keep you. That's a bold statement for U.S. corporation in 2026. If my foundation owns all assets in multiple businesses, could someone sue the foundation and go after everything? The single answer is no. It's not suable. Can it be named in a court case? It's been named before, but they couldn't collect on the assets. They couldn't even bring the foundation in. They couldn't find an attorney to represent it. They couldn't force an attorney to represent it. No attorney could represent it. They're in a loop. One case. But the bottom line is no, you're safe. If it were me, I would separate my house from what I do business in the event of somebody doesn't like the business. You know what I mean? You don't want the front line business to have the same name as an asset held in real estate. Like for example, if Gary Holdings business foundation were to structurally screw something up, something fell, and everybody started trying to file lawsuits, they're going to search that name of that business and they're going to search your name. Okay. If they find a home registered in that name, they're going to go after and they're going to put, whether you like this or not, they're going to put a uh uh oh my God, I can't believe I forgot the name. Unless pendants on title showing that there's a lawsuit pending on that title until that lawsuit is through. Why? Because the lawsuit name, or not the lawsuit name, the name of the business matches the home name. So, from an asset protection standpoint, yes, it always makes better sense to put your home and personal stuff so you're trying to protect away from the public audience. If we are state citizens and the road are being patrolled by AI, maybe they will label us as a threat and hunt us down. Who's to stop them? Donald, I'm going to hire you because I know you're a savage. I know you know how to fire a gun, and then I know you drive a 18-wheeler and you can just drive right through it. So I have no doubt about you whatsoever. So I first and foremost hereby want to initiate, and pronounce Don, my buddy, to be the head of the Department of Controlling AI and how it responds to state citizens. I gave you a funny answer because that was a funny question. We can't speculate what we're going to do with AI and robots on the street at this point. Maybe someday, who knows? So, if the youth fund was something that was actually asked of me to do, so am I able to set my terms, create a fund outside of the U.S. jurisdiction, and have full autonomy? Yes, through a foundation you can. And they can have full deductions on their payments or donations to the foundation. If they take issue at any point, am I just going to tell them to set up Roth IRAs, LOL, but the fund will be under the foundation. So upon its creation, I will have them relinquish their rights to it and hold myself and the foundation fully free from all damages and liabilities, et cetera, et cetera. It's a good way to do it. Um, I don't necessarily understand why you would need to do that. If somebody's just making a donation, or are they coming under partnership with you? If they're coming under partnership, it would be more like a private worker agreement with a funding opportunity through the foundation. So it'd be like a commissionable thing through the foundation. But the element of holding harmless, that should be done with anything. But the foundation is always going to be held harmless because they can't sue it. I think it's a good idea, actually. What kind of church invites you in to starve? What are your crypto thoughts? What is the Linchpin Clarity Act? What are my crypto thoughts? Well, today it's down. What are we at today? Buck 34. Um, I think the people that ride it out are going to be looking at the ISO coins the same way that the people that wrote out Bitcoin are going to be looking in the future. I just think we need to get through, um, and not even some hard times. If you look at the uh, dollar valuation, the market capitalization for these cryptos that are out there, and you look at when they were high, and look at how much the market was up for that particular crypto, for that particular day, you're going to see that that fully diluted market cap for that day matches the dollar value of the crypto for that day. So the reason why it's down is there's a trading value that is down. So once everybody starts coming online on chain, moving money through these cryptos, through these ISOs, you're going to watch the valuation of every single crypto go through the roof, because it goes up and it goes down. And right now they're getting ready to posture up for a massive onslaught of taking the dollars. And this summer's the time, I think, personally. I think April. There's a great video I saw on the forecasting of what they are believing for April. Um, but some of the stuff I'm seeing for summer, some of the things that are being released, some of the I think this summer is going to be a big summer. So we'll see. I don't want to keep saying 2 months, 4 months. I know that there's only one company out there that is pledged, ready to go, clarity, contracts in place, agreements with the president of the United States, all done, dialed in. And banks are trying to do everything they can to take everybody's short position, everybody's holdings, everybody that's in a loan, everybody, they're trying to take them out as fast as they can so they can grab more XRP. I am 100% sure that XRP is going to be probably the single most important coin in the world in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, it already is, and people just don't know it yet. Let me go over to YouTube for a couple minutes just to answer some questions there, see if we have any. Right to travel. If you guys are wanting to, I posted a free document on the blog section of Right to Travel. All the Supreme Court rulings, maybe stuff you can print out for yourself. If you're not driving with a license, you want to consider for yourself what you can have and hold. We don't teach people at His Advocates how to do it because we know we can contract a driver's license into the terms to which we like. And so we show people how to hold a license in their pocket without the liability. Super important to understand that those narratives of what I just said, because a lot of people don't understand that. They don't understand the administrative laws or through acquiescence and how it creates a contract. And those are the things that we utilize to help you. Um, the state I'm living or the state I was born on, state you were born on would be your allegiance to state. So like for me, I was born in California. I'm going to be a Californian. Does not reflect that on a passport. You're just getting a passport from the United States of America. And I do want to suggest to people and to help you to understand something. Whenever you go to court and you're trying to challenge jurisdiction, they're always going to come after not the document, not the driver's license. They're going to come after the applications. And they're going to ask them to bring forward the application for your personal bank accounts. They're going to ask for you to bring forward your application for driver's license, your application for your passport, and then it's going to show what it shows. And subject matter jurisdiction is going to be wanting, but they're going to find three contracts someplace. This is why we always walk people through the living and the private, so we can show they don't have any jurisdiction and that you got to handle all the agreements. Okay. For those who have employers who refuse to accept W-8 BEN, simply exempt the paycheck on the W-2, W-4, and then sign as non-assumptive, unfortunately, on a yearly basis. Good no contract rights and love it. So if they ask if you have weapons in the vehicle, say statutory weapons, no, sir. Just say I don't answer questions. Okay. That's it. Is there any established process why people are getting arrested for driving? There is an established process. Why are people getting arrested? I don't say there is an established process for people to drive without a license. I never have. I said that we have on our blogs for people that do that the ability to see the Supreme Court rulings that allow for you to do that. The problems with people that are driving without licenses is they're basically driving with a big old flag on the back of their car with a license plate that is saying exempt UCC 1-308. They're basically trailing a box of donuts with a fishing wire off the back of their car saying, "Cop, pull me over." Okay, I don't agree with the sovereign citizen mentality. And I don't agree with the aspect that we should be training law enforcement on our rights. Should a law enforcement officer read our book? Yes, because this proves unequivocally that there is a thing on our land that allows us to be free under God as a state citizen and not under the jurisdiction of man. Now, I haven't even dealt with the fact that the Supreme Court says I'm allowed to drive a motor vehicle or a conveyance or a private conveyance without a driver's license, and that it is specifically for commercial purposes, a driver's license. Do I do that? Do I want to get hassled? The answer is no. I don't drive without a driver's license. I've recontracted a driver's license. I'm not going to be training law enforcement on the side of the road. I'm going to handle them in court where you should handle them. Because these guys, unfortunately, are being trained by FBI that there's this group of people called sovereign citizens that believe they're not under federal rule or control. And they all joke and make fun of that, negating that there's hundreds of Supreme Court cases proving there is a people here on this land that are not under federal rule. God bless you guys. I just don't want to get in the ring with law enforcement with a sidearm on the side of a road. I'm going to present a license and I'm going to get my butt home in one piece until they make that change. Um, I've been successfully traveling without a license for over 5 years. I know a lot of people that have. Yeah, thank you. Um, yes, there will be sponsors for the fund, so I just want contributors to be aware of what they're agreeing to. Okay. How do I manage having two properties, removing mailbox from my primary residence while continuing to have family live there and the other residence? And those are pretty easy questions. Not even worth really answering. You pull the mailboxes out, get a UPS store box, tell them they have to get a UPS store box for themselves if they want to rent it. Tell them that they can still have Amazon deliveries. Yeah, it's easy. You want to take the mailbox that says property of the United States Post Office off your land. That's number one. You know, there's simple things that you would set up. Just reach out. You can do a consult with us if you want. If you're a member, if you're a VIP member, just ask that question. We'll post an answer. I haven't gotten to use the hard keys for 2F. Oh, I see, John. John's talking. John, stop talking crap. Give it to me. Let me know what the answer is after you find out, after you use them and find out. I need hard keys. 100%. All right. You have plates. Yeah, I have plates. I don't own anything. Nothing is in my name. I have plates. I have insurance. I hold a license in my wallet. I am a state citizen. Okay. Period. And there's ways if you understand how to contract without contracting. Number one. Number two, you are not the US citizen. And there's an element of understanding what holding an office means. And a lot of that is done through adhesion contracts. And if you're interested and you want to know, go to hisadvocates.org, sign up right here, click that. Put your phone right here, right now, all of you. Click, click, put your camera up, go sign up, hisadvocates.org. Please. We want to support you guys on your freedom. God bless you guys. I am done. I am talked out. It's been an hour and a half. Have a great week. For you VIP members, I'll see you tomorrow morning for a great huddle. We're going to crush it. 9 o'clock a.m. VIP members, be there. Stop with your laziness. I know you don't want to hear some of the things I got to say, but we're making men, we're making women, and we're elevating in a big way. So God bless you guys. Have a great night. I'll see you in the morning. Have a good one.